Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Friend Code. I'm your host, Michael Damiani. This week, I'm joined by Michael Huber.
Yo!
Yo! We are here because Michael Huber, after maybe peer pressure is the best way to put it.
A little bit.
For some time now, right, Huber?
Couple years, I'd say.
Yeah, we've been telling you to play a few different games. You get asked to play a lot of games, Huber. I feel like I feel like
and
it's like
watch a lot.
burden on you sometimes. That
Sometimes because I want to have those conversations with people, you know? I don't want to let people down. My whole job in my life is to recommend things, so when people recommend things back, I don't want to be dismissive, you know? I want to share that joy, share that magic.
And you are starting to experience the magic of Fire Emblem Three Houses, because I feel like this and Xenoblade Chronicles are the two big Nintendo games that people have been asking you, especially some of us here at Easy A have been asking you to play this, even not to completion, to try it. And you've now put in 2 sessions with the game on stream.
We're about 6 hours in or so.
All right, and is that all you've played of it was on stream? Are you strictly playing on stream?
Yeah, I'm strictly playing on stream. Yeah, strictly playing on stream. I don't want to do anything on my own. You know, I want chat to be able to get those reactions. I want to share this whole journey with chat. And you were talking about just the pressure, Damiani, of the series. It actually goes back to Awakening on 3DS.
Yep.
You know, my history with handhelds, if you've followed me, are kind of a love-hate relationship. So Fire Emblem Awakening, though, was always one of the handheld 3DS games that really stuck out to me that I wanted to play. Mm-hmm. And everyone always said, Huber, you would love it, you would love it, you would love it. And I just never got around to playing it. So now, fast forward to Three Houses, Damiani, and it's like this shot at redemption. It just took a while to start the journey.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, because I feel like, I don't feel like, it is the way it is that Awakening kind of kickstarted the revival, the resurrection arc, as you want to put it for anime terms, for Fire Emblem Three Houses, because it was on the verge of permadeath.
No pun intended.
Nintendo saying if Awakening did not perform to expectations back in 2000 when it came out back in 2013, that for 3DS, as you said, that this could potentially be the last Fire Emblem game. Came out, in 2012 in Japan, but 2013 in the rest of the world. But Awakening, one of the best performing games, followed by Fates, and now Three Houses, which is... They've just continuously made these games more appealing, in my opinion. And they also had Fire Emblem Heroes for mobile, which is still going strong. One of the most profitable thing, probably the easiest way to get into Fire Emblem, probably the best gateway. And then, of course, we had the Muso spinoff. So Fire Emblem has been big. So yeah, Huber, I can understand that also adding to the pressures. It's for the past 8 years, the series has been in a resurgence. And so many people talking about it left and right. Yeah, it always that fear of missing out, because this is such an important franchise now.
Yeah, it's not even fear of missing out. It's just wanting to know what it's all about.
Curiosity,
because I haven't played, the newish Pokemons or Animal Crossing in a while, Damiani. Or I haven't played the newer ones of those, but I've played them in the past. So I still feel like I kind of have a sense of the franchise, whereas Fire Emblem, I'd only seen it from the outside, so I couldn't really relate to it at all. I didn't know what it was all about. Yeah.
Such an important thing, because while it is a strategy game, its roots are still in very old school SRPG. Grid-based battlefields. For anyone who isn't familiar with Fire Emblem, it's essentially a war campaign story. They all set in different countries. You basically lead an army, you recruit different people, you fight large-scale battles, but it's on a grid, so it's kind of like a elaborate chess game. You have different types of weapon and magic users, and you have to accomplish different goals, either kill an enemy boss and conquer the map or reach a destination, stuff like that. But now Three Houses is took all that. I mean, it had been building up to this and just add so much stuff to it. And I got a bunch of I basically asked the patrons, Huber, for questions specifically catered to
fun.
you about your
Fun.
experiences. So we're going to avoid spoilers. So as you know,
Cool.
this is going to be spoiler free. This is very early on from Huber's perspective. So I will do my best to, reel myself in because I can't talk. I've played through all the campaigns, Huber. I played through all of them
Wow.
and saw, including.
Wow.
Well, I've seen every ending. I'll put it that way. I don't want to spoil anything
Whoa.
for you. So I'm very curious about your decisions because I watched you for I watched you for a little bit. I don't want to say specifically because I want to get to the question about it. I don't want you to answer it yet. But let's get to these questions because I want to hear your thoughts. I don't want to be the one
Great.
talking here. This first one comes from Level Capybara. One of my favorite parts of Fire Emblem Three Houses, or any Fire Emblem game for that matter, is how lovable the cast of characters is. But I can't put my finger on why Fire Emblem characters in particular are so memorable for me. What do you think it takes for a game's characters to truly capture your heart and mind? And are there any Fire Emblem Three Houses characters who have that hold on you already?
Yes, there are. I mean, Edelgard right out of the gate. She's got a big axe. You got me. You got me right out of the gate.
All right.
And Petra. Loving Petra. Loving her whole vibe. Just seems like kind of like an outsider. There's kind of a language barrier on some things. She doesn't know how to properly say things she wants to say. Love Shikamaru, Linhart. He's always wants to sleep and is lazy.
Yep.
So gives me that Shikamaru. Yep. A lot. Raphael is on the other team, but he seemed really, really jolly because I picked the Black Eagles. Full disclosure.
Okay, you picked Black
Yep.
Eagles. Okay.
Yep. Bernadette, Bernie hype.
Okay.
Just afraid to come out of her room. Just adorable character. I will say I don't have a definitive answer for how I connect with characters. I find myself connecting with all characters in video games. I mean, that's one of the first things I do, Damiani, is try to connect with the characters. It's one of the most important things in video games for me. Are characters. If I don't have someone or something to latch on to emotionally, it's harder for me to stick with a story-driven game. Obviously, if it's Fortnite or something, or some action game, where you don't really need a character, that's fine. But if I'm going to invest, especially in a big 70-hour JRPG, I better like these characters. And in relation to Fire Emblem, everyone is archetypey initially. That's kind of the way you try to connect the audience with the character right out of the gate before you have the time to connect with them is kind of the archetype tropes. But in terms of Fire Emblem as well, just those battles, Damiani. Having my characters on the battlefield and then going through those life and death situations of oh my god, if Bernadette gets hit one more time, she's gonna die. That builds that bond with the character even more. They're in harm's way. So that's a big one.
Fire Emblem has always, in my opinion, done a very good job of that, setting the stakes. Yeah. I mean, I don't have the older ones. Might be a little bit different just because of their old school nature and presentation. Obviously, people could have been attached, but I kind of got in around the GameCube era with Path of Radiance and Radiant of Dawn. That was
Nice.
that and the original GBA release of the first outside of Japan released in North America Fire Emblem, which is not the first Fire Emblem out there, but it was just called Fire Emblem here for GBA. That one was sent to me, and someone else who really liked the Fire Emblem series, who had been playing, I guess, fan translated versions of the Japanese games, sent me these GBA ones, the two GBA ones after they come out, and I was like, dude,
Nice.
these are pretty cool. And then and then I knew about the GameCube one was coming out, and then the Wii follow up, and so yeah. But those especially the GameCube and Wii one though, Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, Huber, it had the social bonds and stuff, you could build relationships, but that stuff was very just, do you want to end up maybe marrying someone or but also like people on the battlefield. You don't want someone to die because it's twofold. You have like the gameplay version, Huber, where if you just start depleting your ranks, you're gonna have no one left, and it's gonna be a really uphill battle. But on the but also it's such a long game. You said it's the investment with the character arc, and that's what I like about Fire Emblem. I do feel like it has such a wide net with their characters, especially 3 houses, that it's very likely you're gonna find somebody you're gonna gravitate towards. At the very least, you're putting your stakes on that character, and you're like, this character cannot die. And if they are in danger or die, it's like you're restarting that mission. Like, I know you don't do that though, Huber. You stick to, if they die, they die. You're different than me.
If they die, they die. I'm letting it ride. Because I want those stakes, especially as my first Fire Emblem game ever. I know the franchise has had this permadeath at kind of the forefront. It is one of the things they're known for. So I am just playing on normal, but I do have permadeath on. So I think that's a cool balance of like, all right, playing on just kind of the easiest difficulty they have, but we're going to kick up the stakes and the intensity with permadeath.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I love the stakes. I'm obsessed, dude. Especially just coming off the Mass Effect trilogy, Damiani, where the same thing can basically happen. You know, you make some bad decisions and your crew can die. It's just, I love that stuff.
For sure. And for those, and you know me, Huber, but for those of you who maybe haven't heard me in the past say this, but when I say I don't let someone die, I play with permadeath on, but I use it as a fail state for a mission. So if any one of my characters dies, I restart. Now these games have the ability to turn back time and wind back time. I personally tried to avoid it. I tried to avoid that as much as possible in my Fire Emblem 3 Houses playthrough, my first one. But after at certain points, like it was just like one move error late on, and I was like a dumb mistake. I'm like, I don't care about that, but would try, like, 'cause that's what the older ones, you didn't have that rewind mechanism. But I do like that they added it because it's makes the game more accessible.
Yeah, I haven't used it yet, but I'm happy it exists because even after the first real battle, I was like, I didn't lose anyone, but I thought to myself, Damiani, it seems really easy.
Yes.
To just get one of your teammates KO'd.
It is.
So it's scary.
It is. It is very, very easy to make one wrong move in those games and be punished punished for that mistake. Now, speaking of the combat, Huber, I got another question here from Jose. Hello, allies. How do you feel about the 3D combat animations? Personally, I really miss the old sprite-based animations from the GBA games. As a kid, I must have put hundreds of hours into the 2 North American GBA games, doing dozens of playthroughs and constantly trying out new character and team combinations. One of the big things that kept me going were the fluid combat animations, especially for critical hits. Love that. I'll never forget the Swordmaster fading backwards before slashing across the screen, or the assassin twirling his daggers before striking from the shadows. Okay, I like this. Sick. I remember this. But by comparison, all the Fire Emblem games since the GameCube era have gone with 3D animations that feel wooden and lifeless to me, and they often take too long to play out, which can really add up over the course of a game as massive as 3 Houses. You can turn animations off, but then it starts feeling as if I'm playing chess rather than controlling all these cool warriors. I understand I'm probably an extreme outlier for feeling this way, but it has really dampened my passion for the series, and I wish they would bring back old sprite art even as an option. So Hubert, I know you even played the older ones, but how do you feel about the 3D animation, combat animations in 3 Houses so far? How do they look to you?
Initially, I like them. Because you can zoom way out, but then you can zoom all the way in and kind of see your crew and other soldiers. And then when it goes down, it just kind of adds to the feeling of this giant battle versus this is there's 7 people versus 7 people. When the battle happens, it feels like it's a full-scale war, which I like. But I could already see myself, like this comment says, of getting tired of them. Because they do all feel samey. You have your caster kind of just standing there and shooting a ball. You have your sword and axe, and even the sword, the axe, the spear, they all do feel the same, where it's run in, attack, step back, maybe they'll attack, and it does feel very samey. But again, I haven't played the old ones, and I'm only 5 hours in, 6 hours in, so I'm not tired of them just yet.
Yeah, that's interesting because I do know. Well, I think Fire Emblem Three Houses has a vision from a visual standpoint has its charm at points. It definitely has rough spots to me. I mean, it seems like it's working within the limitations of the Switch hardware, but this has gone back all the way to the Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. They are definitely not visual showpieces. They never have been the 3D Fire Emblems. They do, like, I think showing the scale of the battlefield is kind of like their thing, but it's very simplistic. But I think it's on purpose to make it easier for people to digest the different pieces of the board, essentially, so that they don't get overwhelmed. Because when you're turning on all, like, your movement range, enemy movement radius, and like it gets like, yeah, the colors overlapping, I think it's necessary, though they still try and retain a little bit of the personality of the characters and their models. But I basically, I do agree with you, Jose. Like, as someone who's seen and played the 2D Fire Emblem games, the sprite artwork for some of the combat animations is pretty good. I imagine this might be what some people are feeling about maybe Advance Wars coming out on Switch with some of the 3D models versus 2D. And you know what? To me, it's a trade-off. If it's something that gets these games to continue and do well, I'm for that. I mean, Awakening did use sprites in a 3D environment, so there maybe is a way to mix and match that and bring it kind of back. But I know the combat animations weren't. But I will say, the thing about turning off animations, turning into chessboard, these games are so long.
Yeah, that I turn them off after a couple hours.
At a point, like, I appreciate how they look, and for like dramatic battles, like maybe the final, like a boss fight, I'll turn them back on. Just like, I want to see this boss fight. The game, I love that they give you all these options, Huber, because I at some point I do want to speed it up a little bit, and I don't need to see every animation play out. But there are critical moments where it's like, okay, I do want to see this play out. So it's nice to have that.
And I get that opinion, too, of just, like, having the nostalgia and kind of the connection with the older ones. Like Resident Evil, I'll always prefer fixed cameras, but they were a thing of the past, It's in the past, and the franchise has gone in new directions. I'm always going to prefer that, but I also appreciate, where they're going now. But I totally understand, like, connecting with something the way it used to be. And not connecting with it the way it is now. Totally get that. Yeah.
One final thing is for 3D that I like. I mean, I'm sure you could do it in 2D, but it seems way easier doing 3D. Is the use making use of topography, so that height advantage, stuff like that, like terrain, plays into your strategy, like line of sight. I just like to wait in the bushes, Damiani. That's my meta. That's my strat. That's you come to me. Yep. I'm gonna wait in this bush. That's very good. that is, you're learning to play. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn were the ones that did this the most prominently. I feel like you could like roll boulders down a hill would be like a thing, and anyone down the hill would be hit, like stuff like that. That really hasn't come back to that extent. Dude, let me set up traps. Yeah, so that like that type of stuff, I'd like to see that come back. So if you're gonna go 3, maybe utilize more of that. But that's the last thing I want to chime in there. But that'd be a good balance. Like 2D everywhere except for like big moments. Then it does 3D, and it's like some big special thing. That'd be cool. Cool compromise. Got this next one from Platinum Declan. I'm so glad Huber is playing Three Houses. It is one of my all-time favorite Switch games, and despite high scores, still think it is underrated. It is on par with Odyssey and Breath of the Wild for me. My question is twofold. One, I don't know what difficulty Huber is playing on as I write this, but I feel it is incredibly important in games like this to at least try Hard Classic as a first attempt, as normal is actually easy due to a weird translation thing that started in the GameCube era, as it forces players to learn the mechanics. So my first question is this: without dictating how people play, Do you encourage people to play on certain difficulty levels in order to get the most out of a game? As for me, this makes it more fun, engaging, and immersive. I asked because my dad recently started RE3 on assisted mode, and it barely feels like he's getting the true experience. I get it may be too hard for him on normal, but I always encourage him and others to try default difficulty for as long as possible. Though easy for me to say, I finished RE3 7 times last year for the Platinum, but with RPGs I find playing on at least default to be of the utmost importance, otherwise you are not needing to learn the combat system. We'll stop there because the next question's a little different direction.
Difficulty's huge. The most recent example was Resident Evil Village. That was one where normal was too easy, and the people that didn't like their first playthrough, a common through line, a common correlation was they were playing on normal difficulty. And then a lot of people that started their first on hard had nothing but glowing things. So difficulty is really important. I think back to the original God of War on PS2, the first one, and just how different normal is versus harder or God mode, like expert. It just completely changes the way you play. It goes from just mashing out, square and triangle to like blocking, parrying, like rolling around, like utilizing all of your moves. Another example, I'm just bringing all these examples because I want to stress how important it is to me. It's one of the main reasons I didn't connect with Devil May Cry 5. Damiani.
Yeah,
everyone is obsessed with Devil May Cry 5, and it only let me play my first playthrough on normal. I played it on the highest difficulty available at the time of launch, and it was so easy. I just never connected with the combat. I never got in the high stakes mode of like having to do awesome sick combos to survive. It was just like, okay, do I want to get a high score? I'm not a competitive person. I don't care about high scores at all. Never connected. So I totally get this question. I totally understand this. That is why I put permadeath on. That was the balance I made. In my own private time, I probably would have chosen hard with permadeath. But this being my first entry into the series at all, I'd never played another Fire Emblem. And I'm playing on stream, which is its own host of distraction, can't settle in as well. Like, my mind is on both, the chat and not only on chat, but also on the entertainment of the stream. I don't want to just have my entire team, like, get wiped out and have to start over and all this. So I just thought the best balance for everything, for my enjoyment, for chat's enjoyment, was normal with permadeath. But I totally get that concern. I'm hoping that it isn't too easy, but we will see.
Man, I do feel maybe Three Houses. I can't remember because I played it on the different difficulties. I do know that back in the day, the reason they might have scaled it down is the GameCube, again, Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, those default difficulties were actually kind of hard. When I turned it up to hard on, I remember the first mission on Radiant Dawn for Wii. You're basically trying to escape a village, and it's a tiny little map, not that very big, like between some like village buildings. You just got to reach the exit, and there's a few enemies blocking you, but it's very narrow. I remember on hard that took me so long to beat that first one. Not just let alone have everyone survive to get to the end. It was like, but I mean, to their point here, it did force me to reevaluate where I position characters. Like you couldn't just be like one spot off. Like you had to learn to be a little bit more meticulous and methodical. And I did appreciate that. But I do think you're right here. But you do need to start like you're newer. You need to start somewhere. And I think I think you need to have some success and positive reinforcement. And then if you feel like this is too easy, because these games are meant to be played more than once. So for me, my perspective is if you really love this, you finish a campaign, I love this. You're going to probably play it again, at least to see another campaign or just a replay to maybe do things differently. And then you crank it up. And that's what I did early on in my Fire Emblem experience. And I do like the same thing. I work my way up. I do start there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what's its base level? How easy is it on this? Okay, this is like maybe it's too easy, obviously, but like we're gonna crank it up to hard. And they did a PS. They still need to do 2 more houses on maddening, and they're already preparing to tear their hair out. I tried to do a maddening playthrough, and I got super far in one of the campaigns, but I got to a mission. I spent so much time. I was asking Twitter, and they were like, it seemed like you can get to fail states where it's like you didn't advance this character correctly, or you didn't promote them to this, and like this mission, it's like, or you basically have to play like 100 times so RNG gives you the right like
max,
and I was like, I can't do it, and it was just like I felt so bad and overwhelmed, and that was for someone who's like, I play the crap out of these games, I know how to play them. I was like, it's meant to be ridiculously hard, so props to them though. They do make, even in like Heroes on the phone, they have ways to make stuff extremely difficult. If you want something that's like you're gonna lose more than you win, there you go. So
next Fire Emblem,
which addresses your thing about Devil May Cry, because you're saying like you wish they had harder difficulty. So like
they remastered it, Damiani, and I'm gonna go back. I replay games. It's a thing I do. I'm gonna go back to reevaluate DMC5 on a higher difficulty and try to connect.
All right.
Because another big one, another example of difficulty, Damiani, and I feel like it made it one of my like top 5 JRPGs of all time, Dragon Quest XI. Draconic modifiers, dude. I'm like this comment, hyping up difficulty. I am now like, please, if you ever play Dragon Quest XI, put that on. So much better. So good, because it makes you, exactly like this comment says, it really makes every battle matter. It makes your money matter so much. It really enhances the economy of like, who do I want to give a weapon to, because I can really only buy 1 or 2. Who do I buy armor for? Like, difficulty really has a way of making the entire experience better if you can find that perfect balance, for sure. Love it.
Excuse me. This next question comes from Keaton. It seems like more games these days are implementing some kind of bonding system where you hang out with different characters. This usually involves raising levels and gaining gameplay rewards the more you raise these bonds. Do you think this gamification of raising friendship levels can undermine the sense of attachment to characters the game may be trying to establish, where the player may focus on raising levels instead of enjoying the characters themselves? Or do you feel that these kinds of systems enhance your enjoyment of characters? That's a good question.
Part of that is on the player. Part of that's on you. You gotta, if you're leveling shit up, cool, but also like pay attention to the story, get into the story, like I'm going through Final Fantasy 14 right now, Damiani, and it's like, the one hand, it's like, yo, get that level cap, raise your level, but I'm not gonna sacrifice the moment of the story I'm on. Like, yeah, I'm doing some stupid shit about like finding some wine in the woods, but like I want to still absorb this. So I think a lot of that too is on the player. It's not 100% the game's responsibility for everything. They're gonna give you the tools and the systems, and like your perception and the way you experience it and play it is gonna be different from player to player. So yeah.
It's a good point. I feel you should. Good advice might be to only do as much as you want to do with that. Like, don't get overwhelmed.
Yes.
Because I think when you try and reach, like, going for platinums, that's where it becomes gamification for me.
And that's why I don't do it.
So, like, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, I will not blame you. Like, when I played through, I did focus on everyone's story. I tried to like listen to everybody and on every playthrough, and that's a lot. That's insane to ask like an average person to do that. But on like your first playthrough, I would say like, at least I'm hoping for you, Huber, you're in the Black Eagles. Even if you don't like follow every individual Black Eagles storyline, the ones you've gravitated to, like you said, Bernie, you said Petra, and you said Edelgard. It's like, I hope with those three,
and
at least
Caspar.
like, you are just like. You're sticking with them. You're always paying attention to the story. While some of the other ones, it's like, oh,
maybe if they start to grow on me, then maybe I'll like, oh, okay, this person's growing on me.
Exactly. And I will say
because the wandering around the campus, Damiani, I'm only 5 hours in and I already know, like, I'm a completionist at heart. I do main game plus all quests, like back to 14. It's really hard for me to go into a town, even if I'm level 40 and there's level 5 quests. I have to like, I have to like stop myself. Like, no, keep moving. Like, don't do this. But I can already tell in Three Houses, Damiani, the wandering around talking to every single person, unattainable. Like, I'm not gonna be doing that. I'm gonna keep it tight, keep it focused, talk to my crew. Maybe some days I will branch out and talk to a lot of people, but I'm not going to be talking to every single person on every single exploration opportunity because that will burn me out. So I definitely just want to feel it organically, feel the rhythm. I'm not here trying to min-max because this game does seem like one that you can min-max. It does seem like you could easily get obsessed with just like maximizing time and numbers and all that, and it's like, I don't even care. Like, I'm here for the bonds. I'm here for the story. I'm here to level up axes. Like, let's go. I'm here for the small scale interaction and the bond stories, and I'm here for the large scale what the hell is going on in this universe.
Yeah.
So
I can't get, like, obviously I can't get into spoilers, but I mean I felt a little bit of that. Like, I was trying to do everything I could, but I started to, at a certain point, started to realize the futility, especially if you don't like look at a guide. It's like, you don't look at a guide, like you're no matter how thorough you're gonna be, you're probably gonna miss stuff, and I'm gonna end up disappointed. So it's like, on my first playthrough at 3 hours, like, let me just do what I can do, and then on subsequent playthroughs, I will, I'll start using a little bit more of a guide because I already know the story pretty much. So it's like, I want to see specific things. I want to make sure I don't miss these and hit a point of no return or something like that. But also about the gamification thing, one last thing. Recently, when I read Scarlet Nexus, I had it's 2 campaigns basically, and you see that while there's overlap, you do see perspective from each of the protagonists' viewpoints. And
Cobra Kai situation,
and was going through on Kasane, the girl, like the girl team. I forget their squadrons and stuff. It's been a while, but anyway, Kasane's perspective essentially. You still go and, like I was telling you about, like, I have Persona Bonds things where your hideout gets decked out with more personalized items as you gift them to the right people. They all have their individual desk, and they start seeing their personalities come to life. On my first playthrough, I was going nuts seeing. I was like, "This is so cool! Like, this person's really into old school video games and PCs and stuff, and this person's into gardening and stuff. Like, I see what I'm giving you." But like on the Kasane playthrough, I was like, I'm just fast forwarding. I was like, because you get new members now. It's like, oh, it's their team now, like the other, because they have different members. I'm like, nah, I'm just fast forwarding through this because I just want to, like, hey, I got to play for review, but also I'm just gonna get that platinum. I like, it's like, I understand that. So like, first time, just focus on what you can, and then hey, whatever you want to do from there. It's like, as you said, Huber, it's on you. It's not the game. It's like
totally.
From what I understand, maybe there's a game out there where it is the game's fault, where it's just like so in your face, and that's like the crux of the game, that it's like ruins the experience, and it's just a bad game. But who knows? Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
For this one, Damiani, I totally get this criticism because it's like, or this fear, because it's like, you want to talk to everyone because it raises the bond, Like, if I just use the exploration and go talk to him, it's going to raise that bond. So, like, by not doing it, I could see the feeling of, like, oh, I'm missing out. Like, I'm not getting those attribute points, So that is tricky. Whereas The Witcher 3, I remember talking to Blood all the time about it, of just, like, he was always under this belief of, you're not supposed to do every side quest. You'll get burnt out.
Oh, yeah, I remember him saying that at some point. Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah, he would say that, and it's like, for me, there wasn't a system of, like, bonds leveling up for doing these quests. It's just like, dude, I want to hear these stories, man. That's it. There's no, you're getting, like, XP and stuff, but it's like,
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to hear the story, you know.
Yeah, if you're completionist, I mean that's what it's there for. It's there for people who want 100% completion. But
Yeah.
I feel like keep your sanity. I mean, I don't always observe
Exactly.
this either.
Like Bloodworth was saying. Like he was like, dude, sometimes I would just wanted to like get out of the area and move forward. And that's an example of it being on Bloodworth, like Bloodworth dictating.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, talk to
move
the
on.
NPC, and if you think what they're saying is stupid, be like, nope, you're.
if you're like skipping,
bye. Like I'm just not interesting. Move on. Like just don't do that. You're gonna drag your experience down. It's kind of interesting.
Totally.
This next question kind of is a good follow up. It's from Benjamin. I'd like to ask you about choices in games. Like everyone else, I'm so grateful that Huber decided to pick up 3 houses. I will be tuning in each week to see what choices he makes and how they compare to my own. This leads me to my question. How do you handle making wrong choices in games? Do wrong choices add meaning and realism to your playthrough, or do they bother you? I remember Huber mentioning that a choice he made in Valhalla kept him up at night, and I wondered if that made him love the game more or less. Since we live in a time where it's easy to look up the right answer, the temptation to always make the right choice is right there. To me, Fire Emblem does a remarkable job of justifying the player's choices, whether they lead to victory or defeat, friends or adversaries. It's all part of the game loop. Choices lock you out of the content, driving you to play more. Conversely, many people criticize games where a seemingly branching choice tree leads to the same outcome. So overall, what is your opinion on Fire Emblem's take on player agency? Thanks for everything you do. Love and respect.
Yeah, love choices in games. Love making the wrong choice. Live and die by your choices, you know? Because I love when a game respects me enough to be paying attention, you know? Like, I need to be paying attention to know what to do in this situation. So, I feel like The Witcher 3, Back to The Witcher, does choices so well versus something like Mass Effect, because for my Mass Effect playthrough, a lot of the times it was like, okay, I'm playing Paragon. All the right Paragon choices are going to be in blue, or they're going to be on the top. You know, I barely even need to like think about how I'm responding here. Whereas in Valhalla, it was like, you need to be paying attention to this one part, or like you're going to accuse someone of something and someone's going to go down. No, so it's like, oh, I made the wrong decision here. Like I should have been paying more attention. So I love those high stakes. And back to The Witcher, I can remember one of my favorite. It's either main quest or side quest. But minor spoiler for a minor quest, not a big deal. You find you're hunting down a vampire because this vampire lady's like killing people. And when you catch up to her, she's like, yo, I'm hungry. It's nothing personal. This is who I am. I feed on humans. What do you want me to do? Like, you gotta eat someone. So then you have a choice to like cut her down or let her flee. And even if game things don't happen later on, even if there is no payoff, that RP moment sticks with me because I know that I either killed that character or that character is out in the world. And I try to hang on to those. I try to hang on to those like story-based RP moments, even if there isn't a gamification thing involved. You know what I mean? Which brings it back more to the player and of just kind of like building out this world and inhabiting it in your mind and like going there, being there. Unfortunately, I can't say too much about Fire Emblem Three Houses, Damiani, because I'm not on any big moments yet. But just choices in general, you know, I love emergent gameplay. I love Deus Ex stuff. I love choices and consequences, and I don't like to save scum. Because I like to live and die with those consequences and those stakes, for sure.
Yeah. I knew you'd like that question, especially you're going to see some of it later on in Fire Emblem, but you as you said, just coming off your Mass Effect playthrough, it's like that was that's what trilogy made for.
So
that stuff,
great.
Even though, you know, they have that, like, but also like games. So
which is why 2, to cut you off quick, Damiani, the 2 is so good because the suicide mission is not just like, okay, do the blue choice or the up choice. It's like, you better have been paying attention to know who to assign to this role. Kind of having to go outside of the box and pay a little more attention. I just love.
I like how you put it that way, especially when you're talking about Assassin's Creed. Like you got to be paying attention, like what's not spelled out for you. Though I do like games that reward you if you've like built up your stats high enough. You do start to see the potential, or you, like in Persona, where you can't pick an option because your stats aren't high enough.
Love
like that type of stuff is kind of cool too. I like that.
Love
type.
it.
You know, it seems like gamification. I still, enjoy that.
Because you earned it.
Yeah, there's something to aspire to. It's like, wait, I could have been like this? Man, I got to try and work at that. That's kind of cool. So
totally.
Yeah.
Having those persona choices, Damiani, of like, oh, if I had more knowledge, because then when another choice comes up, it's like, okay, do I hang out with this person and build the bond, or do I raise my knowledge? Like, I want more choices.
Yeah, it's like what direction you want to go. I mean, even though I said gamification, it still plays so well because it's playing into like, you can't be everything. I mean, eventually you can if you play enough times and New Game Plus and stuff like that. But your first playthrough, it's like you can't be all that. You can't get all the correct answers, and you're gonna have to pick or choose. And it's kind of nice to have to do that.
Absolutely.
This next one is so much a question. This is from Tommy Lee. Please teach Huber about attack speed. Just kidding. Don't really have a question since he's pretty open about his thoughts on stream. It's been fun seeing someone new to the game learn, though. Love and respect. So was there something where chat was maybe bugging you about attack speed in the game?
I don't know. Maybe it has to do with like counterattacks. Like if I attack, can they attack back and then I attack again? Like sometimes I would get multiple attacks in. Sometimes it would just be one.
Speed.
The thing I was mostly confused about was companies, but I think I figured it out.
About what?
Companies? Battalions.
Oh, battalions. Yeah, you gotta. If you just like read something on that real quick or watch, like, I think there was a video that maybe Nintendo put out that like you just watch that, it clicks. Because you were asking me about it, I was like I don't remember having an issue with battalions. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh, he's probably early on has like, yeah, it's been so long I couldn't put myself in that mindset anymore. I double checked.
I think I just have to use them more.
Yeah,
I'll learn.
I looked it up just to be sure because I thought speed was about. It's usually it has an effect on evasion. No, there is an evasion stat, but it's about how many times a person can attack in a turn.
So that is, that it was. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
there's a lot of numbers
your
that I
gear
haven't
affects your speed, so like heavier units like can't move as fast, so they don't attack as much. Whereas so you have a mounted like polearm user, they're gonna go like one big thrust attack. Whereas like you got like a Myrmidon who sword master basically, who's is nimble, agile, is gonna like do like multiple strikes because they have a higher speed stat. This is stuff that like right now I feel like you do not have to worry too much about, Hubert. But on higher difficulties, this stuff does matter because you want characters with certain stats to be attacking certain units, because otherwise you're just not gonna win, because you can't just go off the basic.
That's
percentages.
So hardcore. Speaking that stuff though. That stuff, Damiani. That's why I love Dragon Quest XI Draconic mode, because I had to engage with the battle system on another level. It was not just grinding out attacks and grinding out your basic moves. It was thinking multiple steps ahead, and I do love that stuff. So, next Fire Emblem, something to strive to for sure, because I'm just learning right now, learning the basics. But once I get way more familiar, I bet by the time I'm halfway through, 3/4 through, I will be yearning for more of a challenge, because everything you're saying just about having to really pick, which weapon goes against which enemy, because then that will tie back into learning, teaching. I want to teach this unit this skill because this is so important on the battlefield. Love that stuff. Absolutely love it.
This last one comes from Paul Ginsberg. Loving the playthrough so far. My question is, how does it feel to play a strategy game like this live on stream with so many suggestions coming by? There are
Chat's
so many
great.
little details to find in exploring the monastery, and so much to figure out during combat. So I'm curious about how you balance reading that stuff in chat while still having an immersive, fun time teaching this band of misfits.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll zone out from chat on purpose. Sometimes I'm going to settle in, feel it out. Chat's always there to assist. If I have any question, there's like, boom, you have the answer, which is so nice. And they've just been so supportive. It's been so jolly. No one's backseating. No one is criticizing. I chose the Black Eagles, and instead of criticism, screw you, it was sadness for the other houses I didn't pick, So the mods have been great because they just keep reiterating, like, yo, no backseating, no spoilers, like, let him stumble if he does. Like, I will ask for help when I really need it. And chat has just been so respectful and so loving. Love and respect.
Yeah, I'm very impressed you're doing this, Huber, because it seems very intimidating to do a game like this. That's why, like, something like I usually play games
Brad has 7 times been like, you know how long it is, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yo, you're gonna do it all on stream?
It can be a lot. Even games you're familiar with, if it's funny when like you forget stuff.
God of War.
Yeah.
I streamed God of War, Damiani, and it took like 10. Last of Us Part 2. Like, those are games I'm so intimately familiar with, and it was. It's long, like week after week. Like, that's months. You're streaming this thing for months.
I don't know how. There's definitely a trade-off when especially for first experience, than playing it on your own by yourself.
Of course.
For me, like with Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think in the end it was worth it because people seeing the genuine reactions to stuff, I feel like it was good. But at the same time, looking back upon it, especially I did my hard mode playthrough almost exclusively on my own outside of chat.
Sick.
And it was just such a different experience being able to be more hyper-focused, paying attention to stuff, and it felt like, I'm like this. I'm getting a little bit more out of everything and understanding things. Like, I feel like I do a terrible job of understanding things when I'm playing, and I want to cite probably the worst one I did was Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I feel like that was a game I should not have streamed on stream. Because I became so frustrated with the battle system. To be fair, it is a convoluted battle system, but had I played it on my own in my own private time, with lots of tabs open to help me out and like look up information, like stop, like, because you don't want to like pause for like 30 minutes to watch a video and look up stuff because like it's not interesting on stream. So like you only have a few minutes at most to like quickly look at something. Chat, do you have a link for me that quickly summarizes this? And then when you don't click with you, for me, I was getting frustrated at the battle system, and chat, there are definitely people in there who are familiar with it, they're like, why aren't you getting this? Why aren't you getting this? And it's like, well, it's not the same as just playing on your own. And so that's always like something that like the balance, I feel like it's like more like RPGs are probably maybe not the best to do a first playthrough on stream. But maybe like some are. So I don't know. Like this I think though is an exception because it's like people want to see your reactions here, but they're not looking for you to be skilled playing through this. They're like they're not looking specific. So I feel like this one will be fine. But like if you were to go for like I don't know, like another like intensive RPG, new like Diablo. Like I know people want to see you guys play Diablo.
Final Fantasy. Go ahead. Oh, I'm not playing Diablo.
Not you, but like it like in a theoretical. I understand the situation, but in a theoretical place where everything was perfect and Diablo 4 was excited, and everyone's excited for it, and there was nothing wrong with Blizzard. Like playing it on stream right away, like people could be streaming that, but like people like you, like I would imagine a lot of people don't want to dive in and get their head around that shit, and like I want to understand this game, and then I want to start streaming it. Like 14 might be also like that as well. It's like people love seeing you first play through, but like you're kind of just like so new and like it's so overwhelming, and it's like
Final Fantasy 6, Damiani, will be the next one. I'll probably stream that with Jones.
Okay, having a partner I think helps a lot.
Yeah, like Majora's Mask streaming with you, it's like it was the best. Such a 10. Obviously way different streaming it with someone, streaming it alone, streaming it in general versus playing on your own. But there are just certain games, and Three Houses is one of them, where I just, for whatever reason, like I always wanted to play it, but I feel like I would never have played it on my own. You know, this is chat, pressure, and hype that has driven me to play this. Even when Awakening came out, though, I did want to play it, but I don't think I'd be here without chat's persistence and pushing. Whereas something like, you know, I'm trying to think of something new, like Ghost of Tsushima, right? Ghost of Tsushima.
I was doing that, but
you streamed that. Ghost of Tsushima is something that I look at and I know, like, yo, I'm gonna play that. You know, The Last of Us, I'm gonna play that. I'm not gonna stream that for my first go round. Like, I'm Resident Evil. Like, I am sacredly going to soak it up and enjoy it. Versus other games, not better or worse, just other games that are more tied to the community experience.
Just made such a good, made me think of a good point there, and you were kind of alluding to it. Real quick, I meant to say the Diablo thing is from my perspective, because when we streamed it with you and Ben, I was getting really frustrated playing it on stream. Like, I guess I was trying to I was trying to find a way to say it and it didn't come out correctly, but basically, I would personally have preferred to have had my first stream of Diablo off screen to like understand
training
it,
and then
for Diablo 3, I was like, this is like, I feel like this is not the best way to be experiencing it firsthand for my first time playthrough. But the point I was going to get to, though, is another thing I think I'm guilty of, and I think maybe it's so different for me when I play it on my own versus on stream. I'm thinking to like stuff like Sekiro, and you were just mentioning.
Elden Ring, dude. Sorry, Thursday night, 9 p.m. All the lights are off. I will be playing that alone.
Like extremely challenging fights. I seem to get really frustrated on stream because I have people watching me. So like that definitely factors in. I think it becomes like a negative kind of like spiral there of like, I'm not doing well, and then like I feel like chat's not happy with it, and I get frustrated, and chat gets annoyed that I'm getting frustrated. Whereas I remembered like things I've done that are harder on my own by myself. It's like I don't have that negative association with this stuff when I play it on my own. Even if it's hard, it's like the patience. I feel like on stream my patience goes to hell. Where I'm on my own, I'm like, I feel like I'm extremely patient. So it's like this weird thing when like the lights come on, it's like there goes like it's just a different experience. So I guess you gotta like
100%.
balance that. You really gotta balance that, and I think maybe it's like partially on us to maybe be more intelligent and thoughtful about what games you pick, so that you can maybe avoid some of those pitfalls.
Shout out to pro streamers, dude. Like, so many times, well, not much anymore. I don't play that much anymore, really, but so many times when I'm just playing with my buddy or playing alone on Fortnite, and I'm just like, pew, 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 you know, making crazy plays, making crazy shots, and then I stream it, and I'm just like, what am I even doing? Like, I'm terrible at this game. Why do I even play this? Like, but I think there's enjoyment there too, Damiani. You put too much pressure on yourself. Like, we're all human. We all have different skill levels. Like, if you fail, you fail. I don't think chat ever minds. I think chat minds when, like, if you're doing something over and over and over again without trying to, like, change it up. Like, if you just keep failing, but, like, refusing to try something new to overcome it, that's the only time I see chat get annoyed. But if you're, like, trying and you're failing, like, it is what it is. Like, so be it.
I think it's also hard to explain. So this is maybe an on us or on me problem, is that sometimes in my mind I'm seeing something like you mentioning failing over and over again. I actually saw that with when I did the Final Fantasy Origin demo, the final boss. I saw some comments in chat getting annoyed that like why is he getting so mad? He's trying the same thing over and over and failing. And I'm like, no, because it's twofold. It's like in my mind, I'm seeing something right now. It's not happening yet, but I see some kind of like window opportunity, something that I'm failing to capitalize on, and I just need to like because of lack of skill or lack of understanding of the fight, I need to see it. Also, a lot of it's like dodging stuff. It's like, well, I this would work if I learned how to dodge, or like a lot of these games, it's like the defensive aspect. It's like, oh man, I like timing and stuff. I'm really bad at this at first. It's gonna take me a while to get good at this. So it's like it looks like you're just failing to say, dude, here, telegraphed an attack, you died. I'm like, well, I don't have the reaction speed for it. Like, sorry,
exactly.
It's gonna take me some time to get used to that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I do think like if you are literally failing over and over, and like you're making no progress, and you on a personal level you don't see it, just like you're banging ahead, like that's just futility. But yeah, I mean we could I feel like there's so much we could talk about streaming. I will say this, the wrap up my thoughts on this, as we went on a little bit of a tangent here. I do intend at some point to stream because I want Brad to review Breath of the Wild 2, to get that chance to review it. I want to play it on stream, because I've never done a first playthrough of a Zelda game ever on stream. I think that might be very interesting to see. So that's like the trade-off there, a good trade-off. I am telling everyone now, like not a lot of people watch Friendco, but like probably people watch it will probably be the people watching me on stream. Minimal chat interaction is happening during that, guys. I will pause and talk with you about questions. Yeah. But like when I'm playing that game,
get to a town or a campground.
I'm sorry, I'm not doing that shit where like I'm trying to focus too much, I get frustrated. Like you're gonna see me, I'm gonna act like I'm playing it on my own with no one watching me. I'm just so there might be like an hour of silence. I don't care if you think it's bad. It's like at the end you could do it as a case study. It's like he didn't talk a lot and he was focused. Like if it ended up being a different playthrough experience, like I'm gonna be like, there's proof. There's a good it's useful. I know,
Damiani. Honestly, as someone who, it's always funny because it's my job, but as someone who doesn't watch streams really, or YouTube videos, I always gravitate towards YouTube video of gameplay with no commentary. And even sometimes on Twitch, I'll just watch no video, no commentary, just someone playing. Like, that's its own thing that I like, dude. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with streaming. So I think chat would be hyped as hell to just like talks amongst themselves and have you watch you as you're on the big screen. Like,
I'll still react.
To the movie theater.
Yeah, I'll still react to stuff. Like I might like when I'm by myself, I'll be like maybe not as like profound because like there's no one here. Like it's not. I don't want to say it's like acting up. It's like, who are you shouting for here? Like I am excited. I want to share that excitement, but who am I sharing with in that moment in my room? It's like, oh, I just saw like Ganondorf appear or something. It's like, oh, he looks so cool. But it's like I'm playing myself. I'm like, dude, that's cool. That's how it'd be. But on stream, I'm like, guys, did you see how cool it looks? It's like, yeah, I think that's completely fair. So
when the cameras are not on me and like Wesker reveals himself, usually I'm just like, this is me in my living room, just like.
Oh man, but Huber, I got one more question, but it's not related to Fire Emblem. So before we head to the end here, yeah, I'm just like, you seem to be having a pretty good time with Fire Emblem. Like you like you like the school setting. I know you like high school or school settings, like the classroom stuff. You like the teaching thing, being a professor.
It's got everything I love, dude. It's got mentorship. It's got bonds, literally. It's got that high school drama. It's got political machinations. It has sketchy rogue bandits with axes. Like, yeah, I'm loving everything about it. It's got some really heavy shit too. Like I went to talk to someone and he was like watching someone and then it like cut to that person just killed themselves. I was like, what? So heavy? It was like this guy's side quest, dude. I forget. Check the tape. But I talked to someone and they were watching someone. And then we like approached the person or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, that person just killed themselves." Like, what?
Yeah, it can be pretty heavy, and I'm gonna be very interested.
That first cutscene, dude, the very first cutscene, the anime cutscene where she's like stabbing the guy over and over. I'm just like, okay, we're getting there.
It's pretty violent, Huber. The only other thing I'm curious about is because I don't know if you've unlocked it yet or dabbled into it. I won't say any more specifics. Is like economy stuff. like your money and anything like that?
I've got some cash and I'm light on funds, which I really appreciate.
Okay.
The bullion, I just learned that you could sell that loot and get paid. I'm really liking the way weapons work, weapon durability, battle arts costing durability, a heavier weapon. I think that actually ties back to the attack speed now. The heavy weapon hits harder, but you may not necessarily get an additional hit in. So yeah, I'm like learning all this stuff, and I'm
nice. I'm very curious because like economy and Fire Emblem games are like can be pretty rough sometimes because
Sick. Good.
especially when you have to spend money on. So
Yeah.
great. Good.
The only thing I've bought were 2 steel axes, one for Edelgard, one for Casper. That's like all I've spent my money on.
Upgrading, getting from going up a level in build quality on your weapons is like a pretty big deal. It's a game changer, but you also gotta like be careful. I'll give you this advice, Eber. Don't always need to be burning your best weapons on like remedial trash. Yeah, like
Totally.
like save them maybe for like harder bosses or something like that. Like when it
Good
counts.
Good call.
Oh yeah. Our final question comes from Ehab. Greetings, allies. With the recent boon of remakes like FF7, RE2, RE3, and so on, is there a Nintendo game you'd love to see a remake for? For me, I'd love to see an F-Zero GX remake. It is a great game that I believe with some tweaks and modern hardware would turn out to be a more amazing game that brings in new and old audiences alike. Something akin to a Demon Souls remake. Would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I know they rebooted it on 360/PS3, but I would love, and I feel like this franchise should not be dead. Turok.
A little bit of
Turok.
Nintendo history there. They asked for Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. Bring it back. Bring Turok back. It just seems like a franchise that, it just feels like a potentially timeless franchise, that is not necessarily a product of its time. You're hunting dinos. Like, that's universal. I think it's awesome. Love, like, the tribal ancestral vibe, too, of Turok. Like, lean into more of that stuff. Like, just love it.
I love Turok and Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. When it came out in 64.
Seeds of Evil, dude.
Didn't really play. I mean, I played when they came out, the remasters, when they brought them out. I dipped into them again. But like a full blown like reimagining remake would be kind of cool for Turok.
The reboot was not very good. It had underwhelming weaponry. It had really cool knife kills, but it just definitely was a product of the military, buzz cut era. And it did not.
I never touched that one. I heard it was.
Yeah,
not good.
it's not terrible. It's not terrible. I was swimming in it. I was swimming in that one.
Let's get
but I feel like Turok deserves more.
After the initiative finishes the new Perfect Dark, they can just get right on a new Turok.
Yes, that would be so perfect.
Or Arcane.
Yeah, Perfect Dark coming back is so sweet. Yeah.
Get Arcane on that.
Trying to think if there's any like NES games. I feel like Kung Fu. Remember the NES game Kung Fu?
Yeah.
I feel like Sifu is kind of just like a modern Kung Fu.
That game was just like all over the place. It was just like
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu was just crazy game.
The rails,
man.
I love it.
I felt like once you memorized it, it got decent.
Yeah, pop, low attack, low. Oh,
yeah, I feel like to be like F-Zero is a good one because like he needs more recognition. Like Kid Icarus Uprising, the 3DS game that I think even just an update to play it on Switch. Like an HD port of it, because they just did Skyward Sword HD. They just did if they can rework Skyward Sword HD's controls, they can work any game. The only thing is Masahiro Sakurai, the director of Kid Icarus Uprising, was very adamant about the control scheme that he intended you to use to be the one you use. So don't know how I would like that person. Sakurai has absolutely earned the right to, even if I disagree with them personally, is earned the right to like keep his games how he wants them. After all, his work on the Smash series, and especially what he's done in Ultimate and the lengths he's gone to. So if he doesn't want that to happen, then you know what? I'm not going to begrudge him. But if there's some place in his heart where he would be willing to part with those controls and allow them to be remapped in a traditional way, Kid Icarus Uprising is a game because I never really played it. I couldn't deal with the control scheme. And I would love, and I think a lot of people would jump on Kid Icarus Uprising and get into Kid Icarus could be a series, another big series for Nintendo that they got to revitalize and revive. But obviously, like the easiest one for me, even though they'd made a 3DS version, I want that like Blue Point style, Demon Soul style, Ocarina of Time remake. Like,
yes,
just want that. That or Mario 64, like the two most iconic 3D games from Nintendo. Just make one of them into like do the Demon Souls treatment, the Blue Point treatment.
Yep.
I just want that once.
And bring it home, Castlevania. Bring it home to where it belongs, Nintendo.
Castlevania.
Bring it on home.
Buy it from Konami and bring it back.
Bring it on home. Whew. Nintendo, Damiani, quick tangent. Don't go off too much. When's the last time Nintendo bought like an IP or a studio?
Well,
do they do that very often?
So they're not known for
like acquisitions.
They do it, but it's usually with the person. They did Next Level. I think Next Level Games might have been their most recent one. They were the makers of the developers on Luigi's Mansion 3. I don't know if this is the most recent one, but it's one of their highest profile recent ones.
One that comes to mind.
Because they went public. And if they got bought up by someone else, and it was like, well, who's making Luigi's Mansion 4 or next Luigi's Mansion? So I'm pretty sure that is what happened with them. But yeah, Nintendo usually only acquires with a purpose. Like either they want to prevent it from going to someone else, or it just makes so much sense. But they have a lot of business partners who they're interlinked with, and they're perfectly happy with that arrangement where they don't own a company, but they have a good working relationship.
Yeah.
And it's
because there's such a history with Castlevania, Damiani. I mean, obviously the original on NES, but then of course like Castlevania 64, and even the Lords of Shadow like Intercool that was on 3DS. Like they've got exclusive Castlevania games, so just a weird one.
Yeah.
I always associate Castlevania with Nintendo. I always just have that association, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Monolith Soft was 2007.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of them were like a while ago. I mean, Retro was forever ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was this was a startup, wasn't it? Yeah, NERD was a startup. It wasn't bought. Oh no, it was Moby Clip and Act Imagine. They got them. When did they acquire them? Anyway, sorry. There's I know we covered something similar to this like a while ago on Friendcode. I had all this information, but wasn't quite prepared for that. But yeah, sorry. Next Level Games.
No, I caught you off guard with that.
They don't really buy properties though. That's the thing. Hubert, to your other point, they don't really buy IPs.
Yeah,
that's because people always talk about buying Sonic from Sega or stuff like that, or Mega Man from Capcom. It's like they, even if it's for sale, they like don't seem to do that. They want they like it when other studios still make their games, just they like them exclusive, like Bayonetta, like Bayonetta 3 from Sega. Like they didn't buy the Bayonetta franchise or the IP.
That makes sense.
They want Sega to do it. Same with like Platinum with Wonderful 101. They're like they never owned it. They're like it's yours. Like you totally. Want that remake or remaster, you fund it. But yeah, well, thanks Hubert for joining me and sharing your initial impressions.
Just getting started, Damiani,
and answering all those patron questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you to our $5 and up patrons for submitting those questions. Again, $5 and up patrons. You can submit questions for consideration for Friend Code. I'll make the post before the recording of a new episode, so be on the lookout for that. Also, if you're a $5 and up patron, you get early access to Friend Code, as well as some of our other podcasts and shows. So thank you to everyone who shows your support with our Patreon, patreon.com/Easy Allies. Every little bit helps with us. So, it makes shows like this possible, makes all of our other content possible. So, cannot be understated how much it matters to us when you support us that way. And I got some shout outs for our special shout out tier of patrons for the month of we're in August now. August 2021. Man, the years is going by so fast.
Flew by.
Almost to September. The murderous
Goodness.
murderous row of September games, man.
Yep.
I was like, thought it was gonna be nice and spaced out. Saw like Kena was delayed
Nope.
there, so it's like, ooh, got Tales, got Kena, like got like 3 games now in September, back to back to
Tsushima
back.
Director's Cut coming up.
It's like, man, September. Everything is in September. You know what? I'm happy Horizon's not going to come out this year if the rumors are
Seriously,
true. Happy
delay,
Breath of the
push,
Wild
push,
sequel's not this
push.
year. Too many games
it.
coming out now all of a sudden. That's how it is every year. But oh, sorry, you going to say something or?
Nope, I just said yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, shout outs to our August 2021. Shout out to your patrons, Elthanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Caleb Togi Crawford, Esdokol, and Nick. Shout out. Thank you so much.
Shout out.
Shout out. Well,
Shout out.
Huber, it was a pleasure. Looking forward. I want to do a follow-up. Maybe when you finish the game, Huber. Maybe it might not be a friend
maybe
code
halfway, maybe halfway, or maybe when I finish. Just if you're watching, just know that if I have short streams, those are because I don't want to not stream. So if I do a really short one, it's because I want to keep the momentum going. I mean, ideally, I can get a couple 10-hour streams in and just to bang this thing out sooner than later. But if I have just, like, last one was only, like, a couple hours, it was either that or nothing at all. So if I have short streams, it's just to keep it moving, keep it going. Like Jones with Mass Effect. Like, it's not ideal, but if he keeps that going, you know, that's a way to just make sure it keeps going on schedule. So
Good stuff. Well, until next time, everybody, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.